10 years ago, I decided to buy my first drone. I came from a time when in my country the analog television signal transmission was in black and white, and there were only 2 channels, and the Pi brand TV in our house only picked up the first channel. Film cameras were a thing for rich people. With cameras it was almost the same. Then there was the problem that after taking photographs, the rolls of film had to be developed in a specialist shop that did that work. And after some time they were ready. And some of those photos might be blurry, poorly taken or whatever. It was a time-consuming and expensive process. Computers were things that banks had. They had small screens with a black background and green characters. Music was sold on vinyl records and magnetic tape. There were no video clubs or video recorders. Films were seen at the cinema, and most of the time we never saw them again. Just like television programs and series. Portable telephones, video calls, home computers and internets were the stuff of science fiction. There were remote control model airplanes, but multi-rotor drones that hovered in the same place did not exist, only helicopters. The years passed and so did the decades. We started to have our own VCRs so we could record television broadcasts and rent movies. We start having portable phones and computers at home. The internet has appeared in our homes. Cameras and camcorders started to become digital and the quality became increasingly better. Portable telephones, called cell phones, began to have integrated cameras. We were rapidly converting to the digital world at a rapid pace, and the analog world of broadcasts and recordings was becoming digital. Later, the unimaginable happened. Being able to put our videos on the internet for anyone in the world to see. The idea was amazing. I got down to work and started sharing my videos in August 1996 onwards. First with quality limitations and then always improving. In the midst of the reign of digital information, the first retail drones emerged. Fascinated by technology, images and sounds, I began to consider the possibility of purchasing a drone from an early age. The idea fascinated me. The fact that I can command a small aerial vehicle over the city where I was born and lived all these years. See everything from above like you've never seen it before. Being able to capture these images and save and share them with the world. It was the culmination of years of technology development across several sectors. A camera that can fly, record images and videos controlled by us and with the help of GPS. A lot of technology packed into such a small piece of equipment. And this is where I started. In this place that today is an organized parking lot, and that when I started was a dirty space where before there was a bus station with departures to several destinations in the country. It was on July 11, 2015. The year before I had surgery on my spine. It was fusion of the L5 vertebra with the S1 and placement of a prosthesis with titanium screws. I had the desire to do something new in my life, to create things. I've always had this desire to create things since I was very young, especially as an escape from reality and the daily routine and from problems or boring situations. Cinema was an escape for me, and as I didn't have the option of creating my own films, I started drawing and always filming, photographing and recording the world around me. This time it was something different. To my surprise, incredible enough, my life changed that day. The sensations and emotions I experienced that day were unique and surprising. Feelings from when I was young came to the surface. Feeling of freedom, the thrill of piloting a small aircraft that flies and climbs to high altitudes, the lack of knowledge and the lack of experience of what can happen, the fear that something will go wrong and the drone will crash, the drone could fall on someone or a vehicle stationary or moving on the surrounding roads, the fact that you lose the drone and lose the immense amount of money it cost. However, all my experience that I have gained over the years and decades in video games and simulators comes to the surface. The experience of driving motor vehicles, bicycles, etc., all of these helps at this time. Then watch what the drone was capturing at the time on the cell phone screen live. Incredible. Capture images that were previously only possible to capture with a helicopter or not even that. See everything around from above. At the same time, there is the uncomfortable feeling of thinking that there is a machine that costs a lot of money hovering over my head, many meters above the ground. The battery charge is running out. A few more turns in the air and I have to think about starting to lower the drone. Will the remaining charge be enough to land the drone safely? Let's try. It's time, I'm going down slowly. There may not be any problem at all. At the same time as that feeling of freedom, the feeling came to my mind that one day this freedom could end. Drones can fly literally everywhere. They can hover in the air in the same place. They can do many things. In the future this may be controlled or even prohibited. I won't think about that now and try to land the drone safely. Let's see if the remaining battery charge allows it. The drone finally reached ground level about 2 or 3 meters above sea level from the take-off site. I check the battery and see that there is still some charge left. I'll try to fly around here at this altitude a bit before the charge runs out. I do a few more turns with the drone and end up crashing the drone in a more daring and tight turn at a very low altitude. The drone is safely on the ground despite the forced landing. I am happy and content. The adrenaline wears off and the feeling of accomplishment runs through my body. I take the drone, turn it off and remove the battery. All okay. I still have another battery charged. I'm on the next flight. This is magnificent. After another flight, I return home with aerial images saved from those moments. I am amazed at what was captured when I watch it on the big screen at home. The cell phone screen doesn't do justice to the size of the aerial videos I captured. I want to fly again, and in many places. So I started thinking that I have to share this with the world. And so, in addition to sharing the aerial images captured by the drone, I also have to share my experience in the entire process in general. And so I started making videos about the drone as well. At the time, this type of content was rare and especially new to me. So it was the beginning of sharing videos, knowledge and experiences with other people not only in my country but in different parts of our planet. I met a lot of people all over the world and I made friends. From Galicia I met Francisco Pedreira, who even sent me a t-shirt with the logo of my YouTube channel. He sent me blue paint to paint the nose of my first drone that was getting scratched up and a video system called Vufin to use to fly the drones, which I made a video about. I even got to know people personally both in Portugal and abroad. On a motorhome trip to France, I had the opportunity to meet the musician Professor Renaud Schmidt in person in Alsace. There we also fly our drones at the same time and in the same place. Incredible. I won Parrot Zik 2.0 headphones in a competition held by Parrot when I came first representing Portugal. I was invited by Parrot to be part of the Parrot Bebop Drone Ambassador program, and later they offered me Parrot Bebop 2. Some drone meetups start popping up and I was recognized at these meetups for my YouTube videos. And it gave me even more satisfaction to hear people tell me that they started the drone hobby and started flying drones because of my drone videos. But this was not limited to my country, but internationally. Nowadays flying a drone is a common thing, but back then it was something exciting and original. It all started with a Parrot Bebop drone. At the time it was the most accessible drone for me in terms of quality price. I had thought about buying the Cima X5C1 upgraded version drone because it was cheap and to start training, but I thought, why would I spend money on a bad drone if the images it captures are not good? So I thought I have to invest more and invest in something much better and thinking about the present and future. The DJI Phantom 2 Vision Plus drone was more expensive and the Parrot Bebop was a little more affordable. I decided on Parrot. I started flying drones at a difficult time in July, time when seagulls have their chicks and protect them. When they detect the drone, they fly around the drone, risking collision with it. At the time I thought that birds were all like this about drones all year round. But the Parrot Bebop drone had little autonomy and sometimes became unpredictable. As it was on the first flights, there was a bad fall after taking off from the top of a cliff and the Bebop lost control and fell. It seems that this is a defect of this drone. When taking off from a hill and after advancing towards the abyss, the Parrot Bebop failing to detect the ground below it tends to lose control and it begins to fall on one side. The first time he fell into a tree and I had difficulty rescuing him. The second time Bebop crashed into the middle of a bush and I was never able to find it again to this day. At the time I met Rogério, who contacted me and asked if he could go look for the drone. He even went there with 2 other friends without success. Then I went to meet Rogério in person and we went to the place again without success. Years later, YouTuber Crazy515 volunteered to go there and look for the drone, and once again he searched without success. This was my second Parrot Bebop. The first one had a problem when removing the nose with the X knife to replace it with a new one. I accidentally cut a component on the Bebop's motherboard and it stopped working. As it was still under warranty, I returned it for repairs. After a month of warranty, to my surprise, Parrot replaced the drone with a new one. In addition to the Bebop being damaged under warranty, it was returned with a broken lens on one side after colliding with a lamp post in a park, and there were no problems. This collision was one of the first flights with the drone. I accidentally flew the drone right into a light pole and the drone crashed to the ground. When I got the drone, the lens was broken on one side. I was shocked, and now? How will solve this? An expensive drone with a broken lens. What a disgrace. I went home frustrated and couldn't believe what had happened to me at the beginning of my flights. I turned on the drone and the image with the broken lens did not appear on my cell phone screen. How is this possible? I took a picture with the drone with the full fisheye lens and nothing unusual appeared in the image. Picture perfect. Then I took a good look at the drone camera lens and found that the cracked part of the lens was on one side and did not cover the center part of the sensor. What luck in the midst of bad luck. However, during the time that the Parrot Bebop was under warranty and after being part of the Parrot Bebop Ambassador program, Parrot decided to send me the Parrot Bebop 2. On my birthday I received the new Parrot Bebop 2, recently launched on the markets, at my doorstep. I could not believe it. Parrot Bebop 2 is a superior machine to the previous model despite the camera being practically the same. I started new videos on my YouTube channel about the Parrot Bebop 2 Even thought the Parrot Bebop was under warranty and I didn't have the controller of the drone with me to control the new Bebop 2, which was also compatible. However, after returning the Parrot Bebop from the warranty period, I started making videos of both drones. Footage captured by myself and other members of the Parrot Bebop ambassadors with both Bebops was used in the Parrot videos. The Parrot Bebop 2 was one of the Parrot's best and most accomplished drones, and users who had it always remembered this drone as their first, and they really enjoyed having them. At the time, DJI didn't have small drones, and DJI's Phantoms, despite their good quality, were large and noisy.
Come here.
Later, DJI launches the Mavic Pro with a small size and retractable propellers and arms. Super practical drone to carry and with 4K video capture. As soon as I saw the first image of that drone, I immediately said I wanted it. It was perfect at the time and what I wanted in a drone: portability, quality and stealth. Meanwhile, in an online contest, I won the Breeze 4K drone from Unique, a kind of selfie drone with many limitations. In 2015, the DJI Phantom 3 drone line also appeared with 3 models: the DJI Phantom 3 Standard, the DJI Phantom 3 Advanced and the DJI Phantom 3 Professional. During these Bebop times, there was an opportunity to acquire a second-hand DJI Phantom 3 Advanced. I seized the opportunity, and was this going to keep me away from Bebop drones for good? I made my first flights with the Phantom, and when I saw the captured images, something didn't seem right. The images looked a little blurry. I contacted the former owner of the drone and told him what was happening. He agreed, and since the Phantom was still under warranty, it was decided to return it under warranty to see if it could be repaired or something like that. I went back to the Bebops, or rather I continued with the Bebop drones. Meanwhile, the Phantom was not exchanged or repaired after 3 days, and the money was refunded. My father was sick during those years. Drones and creating YouTube videos were my distraction and help with problems. The trips to visit him in the hospital also served as an opportunity to make more drone videos and create content from my YouTube channel. On one of these trips, I made a video with the red Bebop that I had bought as broken on eBay in Germany, and I repaired it. This video ended up being the one with the most views on my channel. A video I made with some styrofoam balls placed on the Bebop drone so that it could float above the water. I also made my first long-range video with the Parrot Bebop and of programmed flights. Later in the same place, I flew the DJI Mavic Pro and the Parrot Disco. However, the opportunity arose to acquire what I initially wanted and which I honestly no longer needed at the time, since I had the Mavic Pro, a Phantom, but the DJI Phantom 3 Professional. Before the Phantom 4 came out, it was the top of the line. But what the hell, I'll get a Phantom 3 Pro. I did some flights with the Phantom 3, but it mainly flew with the Mavic Pro. The Phantom 3 Pro was more about doing different flights and trying to get a taste of what will have been my first drone, a bigger drone. The Parrot Disco is the fixed-wing drone. At the time, it was an exorbitant price for my pocket. I thought I would love to have one of those drones, but for the price I never will. Who would have thought that later the drone will be discontinued and the price will drop a lot? With the help of Hugo Alves, we were able to acquire not one but several Parrot Discos at low prices. Maybe stock drained from stores. But we didn't stop at just Parrot Discos, and we started buying and selling other drone models. The DJI Mavic Air was a small drone but with little autonomy and very noisy in flight. However, it was highly requested by the general public. We buy and sell dozens of DJI Mavic Air drones. Parrot later released the Parrot Anafi, at a time when I didn't expect much from Parrot. Finally, a Parrot drone that records in 4K. I had the opportunity to try it out and make some videos before its official release. I was the first to publish the first video of the Parrot Anafi in Portugal. Small drone with an insect-like appearance whose arms and propellers close and flies silently. Its range leaves a lot to be desired in flight under European CE regulations. Somewhat fragile construction and reasonable quality camera. Francisco Pedreira, the gentleman I mentioned earlier, who had sent me a series of things, appeared on the TV Galicia television channel showing a small invention he made for search and rescue with drones, in which a drone can carry a small emergency kit to the site of an accident or someone in need, containing, for example, medication, something urgent, or even a cell phone. After that, time passed and I no longer received emails or other types of communications from Francisco Pedreira. I started to find it strange and sent him emails and messages and got no response. I asked what was going on and if everything was okay, and nothing. More time passed and I thought that there could be no answer. Something's going on. Since I could not contact him directly, I decided to look for his friends on Facebook. I sent messages to all of Francisco Pedreira's friends on Facebook asking about him. If something happened, after a while, only one or two of Francisco Pedreira's Facebook friends responded to me. Francisco Pedreira had a massive heart attack and left. I didn't even want to believe it. Francisco Pedreira's absence was explained. Tears came to my eyes. I was already planning a trip to Galicia by motorhome and I took the opportunity to visit him and meet him in person. I didn't go in time. Amongst the many knowledge gained through the internet around the world, another person who left mark on me was Mr. Kent Gunnison. He watched my videos of the Bebop drones and we started talking, and I even had an idea to do a programmed flight where he lives in Arizona. In other words, through the Air Pro application, I programmed the flight to the place where he lives, thousands of kilometers away from where I live, for the Parrot Bebop 2 drone. I sent the flight that I programmed to Mr. Kent and he performed the flight with his Parrot Bebop there. The same was done in reverse. He programmed a flight for the Parrot Bebop 2 there in Arizona for me to do here where I live, and I executed in here, another incredible feature. Later he sent me a small sheet of aluminium that he cut out of a soda can for me to place on the antennas of the DJI Mavic 2 controller and test it like he did there.
Okay.
The Parrot Disco fixed wing allowed for long flights and programmed flights like the other Parrot drones. But the incredible thing was when Mark Buller adapted the way of piloting the Parrot Disco in 4G. The range of the Parrot Disco is no longer limited by the range of the controller, but by the onboard autonomy or the 4G network or anything else. With a 4G modem with a SIM card on board and another on the ground, the transmission of video data and commands is done via the 4G network instead of via Wi-Fi. I have done spectacular flights in 4G in addition to programmed flights and free flight. Several brands and models have emerged on the market despite the dominant DJI. Unique, Cima, Autel, Parrot, Skydio, Upson and so on. But at the time I was down to the FIMI X8, which was similar to the Mavic Pro but had a much more attractive price. And I decided to buy one to create more content on my channel. And after the first flight, I discovered that the camera on my FIMI X8 was a little out of focus on one side of the image. I sent an email to the brand representative, and while it was still under warranty, they told me to return it for an exchange, but I could not do it due to the customs limitations in Portugal. After sending the FIMI X8 for exchange, as it would be outside Europe when they sent a new one to me, I will have to pay something to clear the FIMI X8. It will be a stupid thing to do thanks to Portugal's crappy customs rules. I gave up on the idea and ended up giving up on flying this drone. The camera quality was not great compared to the quality of DJI drones. In the midst of all this drone fuss, there was a replacement kit for the Phantom 3 drone housing. A housing in the shape of a Mavic and also with retractable arms to replace the housing of the DJI Phantom 3. Basically all the internal contents of a Phantom 3 and fits into this large shell in Mavic drone mode. I thought the idea was funny and I made not one but two drones of this type, which they call Fanvic or Favic. The name Fanvic or Favic is a mix of the name Phantom and the name Mavic. It ended up being another unnecessary expense of money to create content for the channel. One of my wishes was also to learn how to fly a drone racer. After making some videos together with freestyle drone racer pilot Johnny Tapadas, I asked him if he could get me a drone racer to fly. He said yes, but I will have to train on a simulator first. I purchased the DRL Drone Racing League game for the PC, and by connecting the Taranis controller that I had purchased to the PC, we can pilot and train in this drone game simulator. After about 24 hours of training, I would be minimally prepared to start flying a real drone racer. And that's how I did it. Johnny Tapadas provided me with the drone racer, and Pedro Catalino, who I also knew from freestyle drones, taught me the first steps, and I successfully completed my first flight under his supervision. I purchased more batteries and FPV goggles to use with my prescription glasses. After several falls with this drone, the structure broke and I had to buy a new structure and reassemble the drone on this structure. I started flying this drone again, but it never went back to being what it was. Out of control and ending in constant falls. In 2023 I made my last short flight with the drone racer, and frustrated I gave up on freestyle flights without GPS. In the midst of all this, my parents' health was getting worse and their age was taking its toll. At the end of 2016, my mother had a hemorrhagic stroke and went into a coma. On January 2nd, 2017, I received a phone call asking me to speak to the doctor, and already knowing what it was about, I received the news of my mother's death. Life went on. I bought my motorhome and I'm taking a trip through Portugal, Spain, France, Germany and Switzerland. On this trip I met Renaud Schmidt in person. As I mentioned earlier, it was a fantastic trip and a fantastic experience. One of the best years of my life. After what I call 4 glorious years of drones, new rules for drones emerge. It's the end of 2019 and the siege is tightening and the freedom of fly drones is slowly ending. Something told me that the glory years of drones were over, and what would come next? It seems like something stopped. It stagnated. I felt some kind of emptiness. The direction I had taken with the drone theme on my YouTube channel had reached its final chapter. YouTube was different, the algorithm was different, the competition is fiercer than ever. Earnings fell abruptly and the pandemic hit in early 2020. Something radical happened. With the pandemic, it felt like we were living a movie, a series or a video game in real life. I find myself forced to purchase the 249-gram DJI Mini 2 because of the new drone laws. I got rid of the DJI Mavic 2 weighing over 900 grams. Weight counts over 250 grams and the limitations increase. Parrot bebop drones are a thing of a happy past. Parrot and Afi was still giving for certain situations. The DJI Mavic Pro was also in the museum. Parrot has turned its attention to the commercial market and has done away with civilian drones. It expanded to America, work and military drones, something I never expected from Parrot. As of the date of this video, the drone I use is the DJI Mini 3 Pro. I'm in 2025, DJI dominates the drone market almost completely. I purchased the Fimi Mini 3 drone to try something new in the category of drones up to 249 grams and to create new content on my YouTube channel. But this time, again, problems with the camera blur in one side of the Fimi Mini drone. Same thing as the Fimi X8. I continue with my flights, but not in the way I used to. In general, the flights I do are more of a complement of another genre of videos I make, and overall not dedicated to drone videos only. Here is my story of some years of my life that were completely different from what I imagined. Incredible experiences and incredible moments that if drones didn't exist, I wouldn't have experienced. I don't know what the future holds or will hold. Only time will tell. It was about 4 spectacular years of discovering a new reality, lived with intensity. Thank you for watching this video so far, and thanks to all those who have followed me since the beginning. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, comment and like and share.